Islamism. Shalom Mikhail. Hotep. Assalamu alaikum. I reserve all my rights without recourse. Hello. Shalom, peace, and love for everyone. My sons, my daughters. I am continuing this from yesterday, I think it was, day before, when I got interrupted. Apparently, YouTube is blocked. I can't go live. They're blocking, so these videos might be a little short when I'm talking because of that. But anyways, I'm gonna post the video of what happened when I pressed pause, so you can see how it went, and I'm gonna discuss it in this video. Gonna discuss everything. All right. So, where I left off at, I think I was discussing. I was discussing about the Moorish American Council, things like that. But pretty much what I want to say about that is that the way that the things are happening with the organization, it just seems like a repeat of something that we've seen before, where individuals kind of trick a bunch of people into conveying their trust into the organization's trust, and then they get a bunch of money and disappear. All right, so I haven't found any proof to the contrary that is what is happening. So if it is happening, what I want to say is that it should stop, okay? Because telling people that, we need to convey our trust into your trust to be protected, that's a bunch of bullshit. Because you can't even protect anyone. You got your own consulates going to prison, going to jail. You can't even get them out of jail. You're not a consulate general, Shalamar Bay, like Terry Bay, whatever her name is. You're not consulate generals, okay? You are neophytes, okay? You have not mastered any process, all right? And there's no evidence to show to the contrary, all right? So, like I was saying, I am going to lay out, okay, a visual representation of how you go about truly becoming nationalized, okay, and becoming secured, all right, and becoming a creditor, all right, because even though those things can operate all at the same time, they are distinct and separate, all right, in their functions and in their characteristics and in their traits, all right. And in order to become competent, what they say, standing on your square, these things must be internalized, okay, which means it's something you must know for yourself from within, all right. So if you have already nationalized with the Moorish American Consulate, I suggest you listen closely to the videos that I'm going to be giving over the next couple of weeks. Okay? All right? Now, I was talking about when someone comes and tries to evict you, right? Because that's what they were doing to me, all right? Because I'm demonstrating, all right, on being, like I said, not only nationalized, which means when I say nationalized, what I'm saying is that I am aware of my status on this land, all right, and I have placed that status on the record, which means I have given notice, all right, to these companies, to these corporations that are operating on my land, that are operating here, all right, and it's a way that must be done. All right. Now, sending all of the notifications that the Moorish American Consul gives you to the 7 locations and all that, that is giving notice. Okay. But at the same time, people can throw that shit in the trash and it's like they never got it. And, you know, you think you've given notice and you haven't. All right. So, instead, what I do, personally, what I'm doing, all right, is focusing on being secure, okay? Because you must be secure in your, well, I'm going to say stance, all right? Now, if you've taken martial arts, you know how important your stance is. If you've taken any type of choreographed, sports or choreographed activities, then you know a stance is an important part and function of proceeding in that manner, in that tradition, or in that custom, or in that operation. So my first stance, when someone accuses me of something, okay, first I look at the law of that state and that county, all right, and I compare that accusation to those state laws. So, right, we're talking about paying rent, all right, and we're talking about learning how to stand on our square and present ourselves, because we know we have rights to our land and we're not supposed to be being forced to give up Federal Reserve notes, all right, to have a place to live. However, okay, this land is currently under military occupation, all right? These police stations, so-called police stations, and police officers, so-called, and all these different, they're corporations, all right? They're just franchises of the same corporation, okay? Every police station, every city, every so-called county, they're franchises of the same company, U.S. corporation, okay? It's like having a Walmart in every city with security guards that come out and arrest people for not shopping at fucking Walmart, okay? There are laws that even that corporation has to abide by. Or guess what? They will be punished. All right? That is the stance you must begin at. Why? Because that is the stance they're on. They're doing everything to prevent you from knowing what your true stance is, from knowing who they are accountable to. They are accountable to you. We, the people. All right? So, someone, if you're facing an eviction, if you are facing a foreclosure, okay, and you're not sure if you're nationalized, you don't know how to stand on it, you don't know how to send presentation to defend yourself, okay, there are steps you can take. Okay? There are steps you can take that will buy you time, okay, so that you can get a stronger comprehension on what having your nationality means and having it on the record properly and correctly and accurately. And while you're learning how to defend that record, okay? So first, if you don't have a contract with whoever is claiming to be your landlord, okay, then you're already in a superior position because everything is contract. Now, if you do have a contract or a rental agreement or a lease, take a minute, sit down, look at that agreement, look at the contract you signed, okay? Because ever since we as colored people in this generation, many that I know, so I can only speak of, what I've seen for myself. We have a bad habit of not reading contracts that we sign. We skim over it, we think it's all good, we sign it, we date it, fine. We get what we want. We just want what we want at that time. But there's two parties to every transaction. So you got to think, if I'm getting what I want, they must be getting what they want too. So let me see what it is that they actually want. So we read the contract. Okay. This has nothing to do with nationality. This doesn't even have anything to do with being a creditor. This is the secured part, okay? Securing. All right? Being secure, knowing that, one, everything is contract, okay? Contracts, listen, are the only thing that makes the government perform. The only thing that makes the government move. The only thing that makes, these so-called quasi-government agents, which means they're contracting with the government, so now they think they're government. The only thing that makes them move, contracts. Right? Do we agree? They pull us over. They hand us a contract. They coerce us, or they force us into signing that contract. That is a war crime. That is illegal. But that is what's being done. All right? It is a contract. The lease, the rental agreement, it is a contract. So let us be reasonable, okay? Let us take out the contract that we signed and agreed to, even if we didn't know what we was agreeing to. Okay? Stop listening to anyone who's saying, don't pay your rent, you don't owe no money, you're a Moorish National. When they come, put the sticker on your door, and if they beat down your door, repeat over and over, I'm a Moorish American National, sui juris, sui heredis, and no. Pause. You're not ready for that point yet. Some people can do that and get away with it because they're not only nationalized, they're not only secured, but they're accredited. They can get away with saying that stuff. All right. All right. Hello. All right. So before we go there, let's just start from the beginning, the basics. All right. So now we read in the contract, and we see in the contract that, okay, if I get behind, if I can't pay anymore, and if I've lived here for a year or less, I have to be giving a 3 to 5 day notice and a 30-day eviction before I have to show up in court. Okay, if I've lived here a year or less. Now, this depends on your state, but you have to read the contract or the constitution that your state has that governs rental and lease and foreclosure agreements. Right? Because the contract that you sign needs to match the contract that we call the Constitution. It has to match up, all right? So I'm looking in my rental agreement, and I see that, okay, I agree that they will give me a 3-day notice, and then they will give me a 30-day notice for eviction, and that's when I have to show up in court, all right? So now, boom, I know I have 30 days to either work something out with this person, okay, or I have to fight this battle in court, right? All right. Now, if I have no idea how to fight this battle in court, usually I won't show up, and then what happens is the police will show up and evict me. Or I will show up, and the judge will railroad me, won't let me speak, will talk over me and call me names and tell me I don't pay my bills and evict me anyways, right? So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to tell you. Okay? I'm going to read the contract. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see if the other party to this contract is abiding lawfully by their performance. So if the Constitution for the state, if the statutes and civil codes say that they have to notice me and they haven't given me a notice, they're just calling the police and trying to evict me, then what I'm going to do is file a criminal complaint because they have violated the contract. They violated the Constitution, okay, which says you cannot cause force or you cannot threaten your tenants, to put them out of their property because you don't, agree with something. That is unlawful. That is a violation of their tenancy rights, right? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go memorize my tenancy rights. What are my tenancy rights? Right? And once I memorize then I know exactly what they can and they cannot do. Not to say that they won't do what they cannot do, but I know I have an idea of what they can and cannot do and what I can and cannot do based on the contract that I signed. Okay? Because the judge and the sheriff, they're only going to enforce the contract. Okay? All right? So let's say the police shows up and you haven't not been given a notice. All right, you have not been giving a proper eviction notice. All right, you have the law printed out that says, okay, in this state, this person must give this tenant notice, and you show that to the police. They should leave you alone. Okay. Because they have a fiduciary responsibility, okay, to protect you. All right? I'm quick to tell a so-called police, I appoint you fiduciary trustee and you need to handle this matter in my favor. I'm quick to say it. Bitch, get right. Follow your oath. They're breaking the law. And I know y'all all work for the same company, but I'm going to make y'all follow the law. Follow your oath. Tell them that they need to properly serve me and properly evict me instead of violating my tenancy rights, which now they have called you. And at this point, I have a lawsuit, which will probably pay for this property and then some once I win it. Okay? So, let's say, for example, that the police tells the landlord, hey, you can't do this. You can't call the police on them. You can't put them out without proper notice and proper eviction. And so then the landlord comes back and tells you, well, hey, I'll work something out with you, but I got a new contract for you. I need you to sign it. Okay? You need to read that contract because what they're trying to do is they're trying to get you to waive your rights as a tenant, so that they can go to court, tell the judge you violated, here's the contract agreement, and then circumvent the contract of the Constitution. Okay? But if at any time I bring it to the judge's attention that they're attempting to circumvent the law, case dismissed. Okay? Now, let's back up. All right? So now you got 30 days, or you may have 60 days. If you've been living somewhere longer than a year, they must give you 60 days before you show up for court. Okay? But you must know this, and you must know how to defend this. And if you don't know how to defend this, there are organizations that will help you. Okay? I will help you. There are organizations that will charge you $100 to send your first response. So let's say you get properly served 3-day notice. Okay? After the third day, you send your response to the court where you're supposed to show up for eviction. Okay? And in that response, you could have many reasons why the eviction is illegal. Okay? You were not properly noticed. They refused payment. Okay? If you had partial payment and they refused it, there are a lot of reasons. What your tenancy rights are for that state, and will let you know what you can use as a defense. Okay? Because if that landlord did not serve you properly and you bring that up as a defense on your first appearance without ever showing up, just writing a letter to the judge, then he has to start the process all over and properly serve you, which could buy you 30 to 60 days to, one, get your nationality and your secured party creditor on the record correctly, or two, you serve them a tender of payment and conditional acceptance, and you bring them into equity for violating you in your in your natural habitat. Okay, for violating the contract of the Constitution of the law of the land. Okay, because even that court that they take you to for eviction, that's not a real court. Okay, but you're not to that point yet. You don't know that yet. To you, that's a court. You got to go to face eviction. Okay, so here's what I would do. First, if someone is purporting that I owe them a debt and that I am behind on that debt, and if I do not pay that debt, then there will be consequences. What I would do is send them a tender of payment with the conditional acceptance. All right? The conditional acceptance says that I conditionally accept your debt, what I owe you, and your contract upon proof of claim. And I put my proof of claim in there. And I conditionally accept and I tender payment for settlement upon proof of claim. Okay. And with my tender of payment, I may put 5 or 6 or 7 years worth of rent on the tender of payment. Worth of payments. All right. And then I sign that and I mail it to them. Now, let's say you're in a hurry, okay? Because my first mailing, it's a gentleman, kind-hearted, and I like to be meek and I like to be a gentleman. So I'll send you a warning shot. Warning shot. Bow. Hold that. Warning. Okay? Because I send the warning to see the level of maliciousness that's being performed against me, okay? That's why I personally, but you don't have to send a warning, okay? When you don't send a warning, what I do is, I go straight to the notary and I send the notary presentment. Why do I send notary presentment? Because I'm not playing games. You have 10 days to respond, and after that, I'll be gracious. I'll give you another 10 days notary presentment. Then I'll give you 3 days, and then you're in default. And then guess what? All right, so let me slow down. I'm going to back up, okay? Going to back up, all right? My rent's late. I'm going to get evicted, okay? I've been paying cash. Now, during this process, I still take them a little bit of fiat cash at a time, just so that it says I did pay something. I did keep my agreement on the contract that I would give you something, right? Even though I'm about to send you a tender of payment, all right? I'm about to send you this tender of payment that will pay this property or pay this rent or pay this debt that I owe, that you claim that I owe you, up for as long as I want to pay it up for. Okay, so I type that letter up. Okay, I attach my certificate of service, I take it to my notary, and I get it notary presented, sent to the individual, and I get electronic signature return, because I'm not playing no fucking games. I want electronic signature return because my return signature card might not come back. Okay? Now, that person, that company, whoever they are, I'm going to send it to the landlord. I'm going to send it to the CFO of the company. They got 10 days to either accept that tender of payment or provide in writing to me with the proof of claims answered as to why they have to accept it by law, or it will be considered paid. Okay? And what I usually do is I'll give the notary the first notice demand, and I'll give him the second opportunity, notice of default and opportunity to cure. I'll give him those at the same time. I'll pay for both of those notary presentments to get done. All right? And this is even if I sign a new contract with the so-called landlord where I know that they're violating my rights. I just make sure I sign UCC 1-308 after my signature or autograph or whatever you want to call it. So the judge knows I signed this under threat and duress that they're going to kick me out or call the police if I didn't sign it. Or if I didn't give them fiat Federal Reserve notes, which is a war crime, forcing me to loan you money to your company. But you're not there yet, so let's back up. So now the notary has my notary presentment. Okay, I'm bringing them into equity. Okay, this is how we operate our trust. This is operating as a secured party, operating in trust. Okay, this is the private side. All right, this is what we call, a court of equity, which is the only court lawful on this land. Okay. You go to eviction court, you ask that judge, are you a judge of the law or a judge of equity? He'll tell you, I'm a judge of the law. I'm not a judge of equity. You want to go to a judge of equity, you need to go somewhere else. Maybe the appellate or the Supreme Court. And we will take this all the way to the Supreme Court. Every notary presentment that we send out, we are prepared to take it to the Supreme Court to get remedy. Okay, so now I've started the private process of rendering payment for this so-called debt that I've been threatened with duress and force and coercion and all kind of other bullshit, right? Right. So then now 10 days goes by, they don't respond. The notary is going to automatically send out notice of default, opportunity to cure, which in my notice of default, I give them another 10 days. After that, okay, the notary, I'll go back. I'll give the notary the next two documents. One will be the 3-day notice to quit or pay. Just like they give you 3-day notice to quit or pay, or they're going to evict you, going to give them 3-day notice to quit or pay. Okay, and in this situation, pay means that you need to respond in writing. Okay, why you do not accept my tender payment, because you're claiming that you're evicting me for not paying rent. So you're committing fraud. That's a lie. I'm paying you right now, and you're refusing payment. Okay. So then after that 3-day notice is not responded to or responded to properly in full, okay, then I have a judgment that I can take into a court of equity. And usually what you would have to do is open up a lawsuit in district appellate court. They probably charge $350, okay? But all filing fees are illegal, but you're not there yet. So just pay the $350 and we'll figure out how to get it back later. Okay? But before you do that, okay, we use arbitrators. Okay? We don't go into their courts seeking them to give us remedy based on their personnel, because they're all on the same team. They're going to give in their favor. So not only do I bring them into equity, okay, if they do not respond to my tender of payment and my conditional acceptance, it says in the contract, in the tender of payment, that I will bring you in and I will choose the arbitrator. Not you, not anyone, not any court. I will choose the arbitrator. And guess what? My arbitrator is going to give me such a huge reward that they will be very careful who they violate from now on. I guarantee you that. Okay? Okay? And for those of you who stay with me, okay, who nationalize with me, not only will I show you how to become an arbitrator, okay, your credit scores will automatically jump to 800, 750. Okay, your bond will get done. Your trust will get done for you. Okay, we will do those things for you. We will not have you running around trying to print out paperwork and mail it to all of these locations. That's worthless. That's a waste of time, waste of money. Even though, yes, you are putting them on notice. Yes, true. But for the unlearned and for the neophyte who doesn't know what that means, it is worthless to you. Okay? So now, as you can see, so, you know, even if I was facing eviction right now, which I'm not, but even if I was, and I had 30 days or 60 days, they only have 23 days before they're in default, and either I will take them and get a declaratory judgment through arbitration, or I'll just forgive the debt and I'll get a tax return for what they owe me. But you're not there yet. You got to study to get there. You know what I mean? That takes study. I had to study to get there. All right? But that is equity. That is operating your trust. Okay, and that doesn't take you conveying your trust into someone else's trust so they can steal your money and go get a loan from another country off of your estate and then disappear. That's what I'm predicting that these so-called Moorish American consulars are going to do. They're going to steal your estate. They're going to get billions, if not more, and disappear to another country. You don't need to convey your trust into someone else's trust. That's not how our ancestors told us to do this. If they did, we would have never been a confederation of nations. Okay? You nationalize through me, you will learn how to be your own independent nation state. And we come together as a confederation. Okay? As a confederation, our members, our clan, our tribe, first off, we never, ever go to jail for anything unless you just, violated a law of the land and you have to go into an Article 3 court and you're convicted. Otherwise than that, we never go to jail. And there is a method to that, and you will learn that. Because we operate as a confederation, okay? We operate as a tribal nation. But we will get there, okay? Keep listening, and I will lay it out in such a way that is irrefutable. Okay? So, now, this demonstration of me taking a hotel room. If I can take a hotel room using administrative process and standing on the laws that say, this is my land, this is my land, this is my land, then I know I can do it for my home. But why would I go and experiment, risking my home and my family when I learned and I don't know nothing? And I'm still practicing, I'm still learning, I'm still, studying. No, I'm not. I'll go try it out at this hotel. I'll move in there and I'll do an administrative process and I'll stand on my square and I'll send notification of my rights as an indigenous person and all of that. And if I can take that property, then I can take this property that my family is secured at and protected at. But that's just my way of thinking. Everyone doesn't think like me. But I'm just overprotective of my family. I'm not going to put them in harm's way as less as I can, But that's just me. That's just me. So, being secured means your competency and your awareness of operating in a secured capacity, which means what? What did I just say? Operating in equity, in trust, okay? Because every time one of those policy enforcers show up, they're supposed to be operating in trust, but you must know that, and you must hold them accountable to that. Anyone who's taken an oath is operating in trust, whether they're military or paramilitary or a government worker. If they've taken an oath, they must operate in trust. And if they violate that oath, they're in breach of trust, and that is a war crime. And I'm not fucking around. I'll get your fucking head taken off for committing war crimes against humanity. And telling me that I owe you money and that I must pay you and forcing me to use war scripts to loan your government money is a war crime. But you don't know that yet. You have to study so that you can stand on that, so that when you bring them into equity, you may even include that in your conditional acceptance that they must answer to. And if they do not answer to it, then they are in default and they must never ask you and tell you you owe them anything again and never come knock on your door and disturb you. Did that have anything to do with changing nationality? No, it did not. So I got to keep this short because, like I said, YouTube is blocking my lives and all of that. So I have a lot that's coming for those of you that are going to be a part of this nation, this tribal nation. Okay, soon we will be operating our own arbitration courts. All right. Not only that, we will be convening our own grand juries. Now, I guarantee you, you will begin to hear a lot of these talking heads saying this very same thing, because that's what they like to do. They like to act like, they thought about it, they've been doing it. Well, fine. Start talking about it, because that's what needs to happen. So, if you want to reach out, if you need any type of guidance or assistance, reach out to me. I'll do my best, all right? But this is not where you're going to be misled. This is where we're going to find the truth, and we're going to find it together, and we're going to be that truth, okay? But just beware. It's a lot of fake ass shit going on. People trying to steal your birthright and make themselves so-called emperors and emperors and all this bullshit, and they don't even know what the fuck they doing. But they know enough to steal your money and run off to another country. I promise that. So don't be conveying your trust, okay? If you're a Moor, if you know that you're Aboriginal, you're already a trust fund baby. From being a Moor. Just because your parents, your forefathers, and your foremothers left you an inheritance, you're already a trust fund baby. You don't need to convey your trust into someone else's company or possibly 501(c) trust or anything like that. Convey it into your own trust. convey your children. It's just like this. It's like this, right? Let's say you want to get married. Okay? You and your husband, or let's say you're a husband and you got 3 wives or 4 wives, okay? Or just one. Doesn't matter. But you create a contract, because every marriage is a contract, right? When you go down to the courthouse, they give you a contract that says, we own you now and everything you own. Thanks for signing up. Goodbye. Okay? But when you're allodial and when you're Aboriginal and Indigenous, you have your own customs and you have your own contracts which designate marriage. Okay? But one thing is standard, right? The man has an estate and the woman has an estate. And the reason for the contract is because those 2 estates come together under trust. Everything that is created in that marriage is conveyed into that trust. It's a very sensitive topic. So why would you convey yourself into someone else like you're married? No. Why would I form trust and convey everything I have into here like we're married? No, you're not my husband. I'm the husband of my household. You're not the husband of me. The fuck? So be careful. That's what I'm going to say. Okay? I love you. Even Moorish American consulates and consulars, I love you. Get it right. Get the fuck out of your self-ignorance. And get right and exact. Okay? In everything that you do. Okay? Because the laws of nature will not allow it. It may seem like for a little while, everything is going good, but it doesn't end well. So correct yourself. Stop cheating and manipulating and try to steal people's inheritance. And give people remedy. And the school. I've been on every Moorish consulate, so-called MAC conference, and not one fucking time have you given any type of remedy. You all fucking sit on there and cheerlead all day and talk about fucking nothing. Bullshit ass people. It's what you are. And you need to fix yourself and correct yourself and get right. Because as a nation, we need each other to be exact and right and exact. Sharp and on fucking point. And I'm going to yield because I'm getting a little, upset. But, it's very serious. So, I'll be back, y'all. I'll bring it to you. I'll bring you what you need to get past this season that we're in of trickery and deception and greed. And on the flip side of that, prosperity and breakthrough and freedom and, getting out of bondage permanently. All right? So, I adore you, my people, okay? We must adore one another. When you look at each other, if you don't see a reflection of yourself, it's something wrong with you, okay? When you have the same blood as someone, you have features, you have phenotypes that are recognizable, okay? And if you're not recognizing it, it's because you refuse to. It's because you're a fucking idiot. You refuse. You got self-hatred for yourself. You should stop it. Don't have self-hatred for yourself. That's what causes us to hate each other, okay? And to mistreat each other, okay? So just stop it. All right? Islam. Life forever.